everyone. This video is about the Lichtlaerm King in yellow pedal. This overdrive here. So from my side, I really enjoy boosting my amps, tube amps, with different overdrives and playing around with them. I really enjoyed the King in yellow here. On its own, the pedal does a very good job, and it has a very effective EQ and very high headroom. But the main selling point on this pedal was that it has an effect loop on it. So yeah, you can blend in the devices you put into the loop. Very cool. There are already a lot of good YouTube videos demoing this pedal, so I will not focus on the pedal alone. I will really focus on putting different stuff in the loop. So based on what is available in my pedal collection, we will try some different stuff, maybe come up with some unique features or unique combinations. They may not all be the go-to chuck sounds. Maybe there's something specific which is applicable for maybe only a specific song part or whatever. So we will see what comes out of this experiment. And yeah, one disclaimer, it is based on a tube screamer, so I will not put in another tube screamer as a single device into it. We will only check out different circuits on that. I will try to make some neural amp modeler captures as far as it's possible. If you might have played around with that open source tool and the algorithm, you may have experienced that with highly distorted or very complex distortion. It is not always possible. So let's see what will come out of it and if we can force it to make some cool sounds. Okay, so now to the signal chain. I will have a DI track based on the intro song I made with this Schecter SLS C-1 Blackjack. It has a full shred Seymour Duncan humbucker and fresh Ernie Ball beefy slinky strings in drop C tuning. Yeah, I'm going directly into the Lichtlaerm King in yellow. There will be different pedals or combinations in the loop. I will indicate it in the video. And then this will go directly into the input of my Engel Powerball 2. I specifically choose this amp because it has 4 channels, and we would maybe need to try out some different channels if the distortion is maybe too high, or if the channel voicing just is not suitable for the individual combination of what we are trying. However, I will still try to keep the overall settings consistent and comparable. So of course we need to adjust to some certain sounds, but in the end I want to make it a little bit more comparable to listen. And yeah, so the NAMM captures will be for free, linked in my Patreon page. If you want to check it out, you can. For this comparison, I'm using a Coffee Audio Latte IR, so I would highly recommend checking that out. It's a free small package on their website, and I think it absolutely sounds killer. So yeah, but if you choose to download the NAMM samples from my Patreon site, you can have every IR you want to. It's just the pedal and the amp. So just as a quick disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by any of the following companies, but I want to just give a quick shout out to Daniel from Lichtlaerm, because I think he and his team is always very kind. I met them several times at Guitar Summit, and they are always taking the time to explain and getting into some details and having some nerd talk. So I would really recommend to going to their booth in case event is close to you. So that out of the way, let's check out some weird and cool combinations. Let's go. That was a lot of fun, right? So I think I could have gone on forever, probably. But I still think maybe an EQ pedal would have been cool, right? Yeah, so that would be one more thing for future me to check out. So I will give you very briefly my individual personal opinions to each of those combinations. I will cut the video so it doesn't get too long. So first, the Lucifer pedal. I'm always having a hard time dialing it in with the in and output, and I think you can get very extreme with it. Yeah, so the snapshot I did was cool, I think, but I think you can have some more tweaks on it. HM2, so there's only one setting, right? So that was easy. You just blended in how much chaos and death metal you want in your tone, and then basically go. I was very surprised that the NAM capture worked. So if you try it out, you need a really fitting IR. So either you want to go full treble presence, or you want to add some more low end with a more maybe oversized cap or something like that. Boss DS1. So I'm not a fan of it on its own, but in this combination, strangely, it added some nice distortion character. And for leads, you can maybe go a little bit higher on the distortion, and for more tightness, dial it back. And of course, the blending on the King in Yellow is to taste. The EVH 5150 Overdrive, for me, it's not my personal favorite, but I thought let's try it out and see if we can get some modern tones. I think it was basically achieved. It's nothing very unique, but I think it worked. So I boosted this Warhead Mini with a Fortin HexDrive, which is a Tube Screamer familiar or circuit related pedal, but I think it always works very nice with solid state amps. So I went on, boosted this mini amp with the HexDrive, and then went out of the effect loop into the loop of the King in Yellow. So it did get quite out of control very shortly, but it worked and it was quite grindy, and I think the character of the neural amp capture did work also, but the noise floor was quite high, so yeah, you have to tame that somehow. But the tone character, I think, somehow worked out. Similar as with the Warhead combination, I used my Marshall JMP1 rack unit and boosted it with the Boss SD1 because I basically like that combination, but into the loop of the King in Yellow, it didn't really give some very usable tones. You heard it, it somehow worked, but yeah, I think I would really recommend this combination as a really separate tone and have it in combination left-right panned within a mix, so I think that will be very good. Next, I put the Boss GX700 rack unit into the loop of the King in Yellow. I use the EQ, the compression, and the drive. The drive is actually analog circuit within this unit. By the way, I really would recommend trying it out because it's really fun to use. It has so much cool sounds on it, and it's really easy to use and not that expensive on the used market. So yeah, but in this combination, yeah, it worked. It was nothing too unique. I would really recommend it, using it separate, similar as the JMP1. The MXR Classic Fuzz. So this is maybe just an example of what you can do with some fuzzes. So you can really get doomy or yeah, very, very specific with the fuzz and the overall tone character. So in that case, I think I would recommend it for bigger chords or nice leads, but not for tight metal tones. You will see it also in the NAM capture. It did work, but it sounds kind of broken depending on your attack. So I would really recommend using it for maybe slower parts or so. You will see if you want to check it out. Beetronics Fatbee. So this was a very nice example where you can really use the kind of lower boominess of this pedal and dial back the lows on the King in Yellow so they can really accomplish each other. So yeah, I think that was a really, really cool combination. So what the hell was this combination, right? So it's the Dimebag, Dime from Hell, wah, and you can have a boost here. So I thought, let's give it a try. I did dial back all the wah related controls and really turned up the volume on that. So tried then to find a spot where the mid-range does sound nice and not too cocked. And what turned out, I think it was really, really fun and usable. And what you can hear also in the NAM capture, what worked, is that the mid-range is really nice, but the attack, I think, turned out very usable as well. The Hughes and Kettner warp factor, I will not unpack it because the foam is very ugly. Yeah, I thought we could get some more nu metal style tones with the sub control, but it just got too boomy for my style. So if you want to use it, I think you need a very good low cut on that one. The Marshall Regenerator. This is basically a modulation or multi-modulation pedal where you can have different modes. I had it on the flanger mode, and I thought it was really, really cool blending it in because you have that movement in your tone and you can dial in the amount you want to have. On the neural amp modeler capture, this didn't translate because, yeah, it's in the disclaimer, they don't have, or they are not able to train it for time-based or modulation effects. The Walrus Audio Deep 6 compressor. So I don't think it needs to be this one, but definitely if you have this pedal, the King in Yellow, give it a try with a compressor. I thought that was really, really cool sounding. The attack is very, very nice, and for metal, definitely give it a try. I think the NAM capture reminded me to the Wah, but not with that mid-range, but a similar attack. So since I was saying I wanted to try out some more unique or strange pedals, here are some honorable mentions, which didn't turn out that good, so I didn't include it in the test. So I have this old Ibanez power lead pedal. It was just too noisy and it didn't really bring in a very nice character. So I didn't waste any more time on this one. Then I tried out a reverb pedal, in this case also Walrus Audio Slur, the textured reverb. In that case, you always have this distortion on the trail, and it really ends up in noise and mess, so it didn't really turn out to be something usable. Maybe if you do some ambient stuff, but also then you want to maybe control it a little bit more and don't want to have it in a loop of an overdrive. And last in that case is the Digitech Freakout. Very, very cool pedal on its own, definitely recommend it, but you can control it on its own and it didn't make sense to have it in the loop as well. Same with the Walrus or the reverb in general. Yeah, no really usable tones on that one as well. Now briefly commenting on the neural amp modeler captures. Only the Fatbee combination went through the Tone 3000 website directly. The other combinations, I had always errors on that. So yeah, I was wondering why, because there were some combination which looked from in Cubase very similar, but yeah, not really sure why. So I went through the Google Colab site where you can actively ignore the checks on the in and out, or on the output file, the reamped signal, and force basically every combination to create a capture of that. With that, the only ones which didn't went through were the 5150 combination. It does have a noise gate built in, and I read that the algorithm is really sensitive to noise gates, so probably this is related somehow. Next one would be the JMP1 combination. Maybe the tube distortion was too hot, or the overall signal. I'm not really sure, but since it was the only tube related unit I brought into the loop, maybe that was the case. Yeah, and lastly, the KHDK Lucifer pedal. As I explained earlier, with the in and output, I always had some struggles. So yeah, maybe related also or similar to the JMP combination, the signal was just too hot on that one. But the rest, I could force it through, and yeah, I'm really curious what you think, how they turned out. Maybe not the best representation of what I had here, but maybe something else what is usable for a mix or playing around with. Okay, so let's wrap it up. For me personally, I think the best combination was the compressor. I really enjoyed that one. You can get very good attack out of it, and the blending did work very well. Second, I think the regenerator, or maybe a modulation effect in general, did work out very cool in this combination here. And I would consider this as a contender in a live situation if you have only one guitar, to bring it more movement or more wideness to the sound. So definitely also would recommend checking that out. Yeah, so that's basically it. Let me know what you think. Please note that every piece of gear does not make only one sound. So this was only what I came up with, and you can definitely go on tweaking, but I think this video is already long enough, and let me know what you think, and if you're interested, check out the captures, and yeah, have a good day. Thank you very much.